First off, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, who this world ignorantly calls God, in the name of YAHAWASHI, who this world ignorantly calls Jesus, in the Holy Spirit. In Paleo Hebrew, it's called Hello, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahawashai Bahashem, Rohach Kodash. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS who taught me this truth. Salutations to all the brothers out there that's teaching this word in truth and sincerity, in peace, blessings, and healings unto the elect and the multitude, because that's why we do these videos. And today, man, I want to talk about a couple of things, but especially Iran, okay? It says the Iran-Saudi deal is a nightmare for Israel, the U.S., and the world, okay? And I'm going to read a little bit of this, but also I got some other articles. Putin and Ephraim Rasasev hold phone call, discuss BRICS as Iran eyes joining the bloc. Got another article. Iranian delegation arrives in Moscow to discuss ground forces cooperation. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about, these two articles at the end of the lesson. The U.S. is quietly warning its Middle East partners about the cost of stocking up Chinese-made weapons, and BRICS expansion hopefully seeks to rebalance world order. And I'll talk about that at the end of the lesson. But before I read any of those articles, I got a video right here. It's of General Wesley Clark. Okay, this was in 2007. He basically exposing his own people for saying that they wanted to take down 7 countries in 5 years. Okay, and Iran was the last on that list. Okay, and their plans went to shit. Okay, because it's 2023. So let's play this video and then get some scriptures.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." The truth is about the Middle East is, had there been no oil there, it would be like Africa. Nobody is threatening to intervene in Africa. The problem is the opposite. We keep asking for people to intervene and stop it. And there's no question that the presence of petroleum throughout the region has sparked great power involvement. Whether that was the specific motivation for the coup or not, I can't tell you, but
so that's the only reason they want to go down there is for the opium, for the we got an opioid crisis over here, right? The oil, okay, they called it black code, okay, but now everybody is dropping $1 and they're coming against America now. So it's just prophecy, you know what I'm saying? So before I get that article, I want to get this Habakkuk 2, okay? It says for the vision is there for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. All the prophecies are popping, man. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. And this is talking about Esau, Edom. Okay, because he's the one that's rolling right now. He's the one that went into the Middle East, which is called West Asia. Okay, Middle East is a made-up term for white supremacy. It's West Asia, man. Okay. It says, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. 9/11. Amalek did that, okay? Israelis did that, okay? Their own people did that, okay? To get in that land, to take everything they had in the Middle East, to set up banks, okay? Take down Libya, okay? Who was, for the people, trying to make a new currency, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto himself all nations and heapeth unto himself all people. So wherever the so-called white man go, he is as hell and he is as death and he cannot be satisfied. This man's crazy. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? So shall not everybody that he has come against for all these years, ever since the 1400s, ever since he got back in power, until now, everybody he has fucked over, everybody is going to take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? Everything the so-called white man has got, he has taken. He has no culture. He has taken everything. And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, because they're in thick debt, okay? Shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and they shall be for booties for them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and of the city, and all that dwell therein. So because the so-called white man has raped, robbed, and murdered everywhere he has went, everybody that he has done this to is going to gang up and they're going to take him down. Okay, so let's get into it. The Iranian-Saudi deal, okay? It says there are diplomatic liaisons and talks taking place that have me alarmed. And why are they alarmed? Because they have raped, robbed, and murdered, okay? And they don't want to get payback, okay? Because if you look at this, I found this picture on Twitter today, in honor of Iran's new UAV, the Major 10, the Iranians prepared an artistic image of the drone against the background of the Israeli nuclear center in the Omana with the inscription in Hebrew and Farsi, prepare to return to the Stone Age. The Edomites have enemies all over the world, man, and now they're all ganging up. And even their own kind is ganging up against them because the Russian are Edomites. Saudi Arabia, the princes over there are Edomites probably. It says the United States and Israel should be seriously worried about the renewal of talks, and listen, man, the US, they assassinated a general in Iran. General Soleimani, they bombed his car. Okay, let me get this. Assassinated. Here it goes. It says 2 years after the US killed Iran's Qasem Soleimani, tensions remain. And I read, when this happened 2 years ago, Soleimani was going to Saudi Arabia. He was going to try to pull them together. So the U.S. didn't want that, because they like to keep people divided. They don't want you to come together, even with the Israelites. Okay, this is their tactics. That's why the Lord's going to divide them and conquer them. That's why the Lord said, I came to divide. He's going to divide these devils and take them down, man. Okay, YAHAWASHI, man of war. But, he was going to try to go to Saudi Arabia and do this deal 2 years ago. But now it's happening now. Okay, it says, and building of relationships between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And this is prophecy, man, because it talks about the Carmaranians coming together with the dragons of Arabia. And I'm about to get that in a minute. It says the United States and Israel also should be very concerned about China's involvement with Iran and Saudi Arabia. And I'm about to get that in a minute too. But it is newly burgeoning relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia that is sending shivers down my spine. And this is from the Jerusalem Post. These devils, man, is weirdos, they're crybabies. You fuck over people, and then when they fuck you over, you want to cry now. That's why it says that he sought it carefully with tears, but was rejected. Then he gonna be crying. He crying now. They're making bricks. This is so-called white man playing the victim. They love to act like a victim when they have rape, robbed, and murdered everybody. Now they want to play victim when people gang up on them. Shit is crazy. Iran and Saudi Arabia, longtime nemesis, are expert gamers when it comes to international diplomacy. Saudi Arabia is simultaneously engaged in diplomatic liaisoning with Iran and engaged in navigating the U.S. brokered deal between their country and Israel. And not just any deal, this will be a deal that includes a resolution of a decades-old, until now unsolvable Palestinian-Israeli issue, a deal that would presumably involve some form of Palestinian statehood or independence. And if you look at these BRICS nations, if you look at BRICS, Palestine is in there. Palestine is in BRICS. And Iran wants to join BRICS. So they're going to repair their relationship. A deal that would presumably involve some form of Palestinian statehood or independence. Any diplomatic venture that includes Iran is extremely dangerous for Israel and the region. And these people not even supposed to be over there. They got over there in 1948 because a Rothschild bought that land. A Rothschild wrote the Balfour Declaration. You stole that land. It was a land grab. Okay, all these nations around you know that. They know you ain't the real Israelites, right? That ain't your land, man. Iran cannot be trusted. Iran is not a responsible party to any agreement. So it's just, Amalek talking shit about Iran. You can never trust Iran. You can never trust that because they in the scriptures, man. Okay, they joining Russia, they joining Arabia. They're gonna take your ass down. So let's get these prophecies. This is 2nd Ezra 15:28. It says, "Behold, a horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east." This is talking about in the last days. Okay, 2nd Ezra 15:16 is last days prophecy, man. When the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them that shall be carried as a wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmaranians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste the portion of the land of the Assyrians. Talking about the Edomites. If you look up Carmaranians, okay, the Carmaranian region, okay, you get an old map. I got a map right here, very old, very old. Carmarania is Iran, okay, because if you look at a map today, okay, so Carmarania is going to join battle with Saudi Arabia versus the people who came down there. And who's down there unlawfully? Who was down there because they took the land? Israel. They're going to come against them, man. America and Israel is going to be destroyed in the last days. America is going to be the lake of fire, and Israel is probably going to be a lake of fire. And that's our homeland, but we'll clean it up when we come back down, Lord willing. It says, "And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature." Okay, and what is Ishmael's nature? His nature is to be a wild man. Okay, you can go look that up in Genesis. "And if they shall turn to themselves, conspiring in great power to persecute them." So this is prophecy that, okay, the dragons of Arabia and the Carmaranians shall come together. And Amalek is crying like a bitch on this article. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. It's prophecy. Nobody can stop what Yahweh Shemashah said that he was going to do. He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Okay, his words do not come back void. Now I got some other articles. Okay, Putin and Ephraim Razali hold phone call, discuss BRICS as Iran eyes joining the BRICS. Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the need to strengthen international cooperation in a phone call with the Iranian president. Russia's president press service confirmed that the telephone conversation between the two leaders took place on Tuesday, and this article came out on the 18th of August. TASS reported both leaders discussed Iran's ambition to join BRICS ahead of the summit that will take place in South Africa this month. In July, Iran assumed full membership of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the 23rd edition of the summit, conducted virtually by New Delhi. It says the parties discussed issues related to cooperation in international and regional affairs, particularly taking into account Iran's full membership of the Shanghai Operation Organization and its interest in joining BRICS group. Also, Iranian delegation arrives in Moscow to discuss ground force cooperation. The Iranian military delegation has arrived in Moscow to discuss cooperation between Iran and Russian ground forces. State news agency TASS reported on Monday, citing Russia's defense minister. Russia and Iran, both under Western economic sanctions, have forged closer relations in military and other areas since Moscow sent tens of thousands of troops to Ukraine. The West has accused Iran of selling a large number of drones for use against Ukraine, something Tehran denies. Okay, so because Esau Edom, his desire is as hell and as death and cannot be satisfied. Okay, his enemies are taking up a parable against him, a taunting proverb. Woe to him that increase which is not his. Shall not all these rise up suddenly that shall bite thee? Because thou hast spoiled many nations, they're going to spoil you now. And they're ganging up. Okay, they're ganging up. Here goes the list. Okay, and Russia and Iran, it talks about them in Ezekiel 38. And the word of Yahweh Shemashah came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus say Yahweh Shemashah, Behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army and horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So this is talking about Yahweh Shemashah basically bringing Russia into war, into conflict, because he wants it to happen. He wants war. Yahweh Shemashah wants World War III to take place. It's going to be BRICS versus NATO, EU, and America, man. That's what it's going to be. Okay, the last war to end all wars. Now, who's with Russia? Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, all of them with shield and helmet. Okay, who is Persia? Persia is Iran, man. So everything is taking place just like Yahweh Shemashai wants it to take place, and it just is what it is. And I'm gonna keep bringing this up because it's getting hot down there. On the day of the Persian New Year, March 21st, 1935, requested foreign delegates to use the term Iran instead of Persia. So Persia is Iran. Okay, and it says Ethiopia and Libya with them. I got this last week, but I'll get it again. Signed military agreements with Russia, all these African countries. What did it say? Libya and Ethiopia. Okay, and if we go get an old map of Gog, you can see, Ethiopia and Libya. And if you look at the list, this big ass list, like, come on, man. So everybody is coming against the West because thou hast spoiled many nations. They shall spoil you. You have spoiled Africa. You have spoiled the Middle East. Iran's pissed off. Saudi Arabia's pissed off. You came down there and did that. Okay, China's pissed off. They over here joining too. The whole world doesn't like these people. Okay, it just is what it is. Everybody hates the so-called white man and the Jewish man. It just is what it is. Boo-hoo about it. It says, Gomar and all of his bands, the house of Togarmah, the north quarters, and all of his bands, and many people with thee. This is talking about Turkey. As you can see on this map, this is Turkey, Togarmah. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all that company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So they're going to protect each other. Iran sending drones over there. Okay, Iran military going to Russia. They're all coming together, man. And there's nothing nobody can do about this thing, man. Yahawah Bahashem YAHAWASHI wants World War III to take place, and it just is what it is. There was 3 woes in the scriptures. 3 woes. 3 warnings, okay? Revelations 8:13, and I beheld and heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, 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 World War 1, 2, and 3, to the inhabitants of the earth by reason of the other voices of the trumpet that are of the 3 angels which are yet to sound, Revelations 9 and 12, 1 woe is past, and behold, there come 2 more woes hereafter. Revelations 11 and 14, the second woe was past, and behold, the third world war cometh quickly, man. Okay, that's what that means. So we in that time. Also in Joel, let's go get that too. Joel chapter 3. This is talking about the last days. It's talking about the Israelites being put in slavery by the Edomites, by the Africans, okay? And then they're going to be sold into slavery. But when it comes down here, Joel 3 and 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty man, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say I'm strong. Okay, all these nations were weak. Okay, when America was at its apex, NATO was at its apex, the EU was at its apex. But now all these countries smell blood in the water, man. Y'all got trans shit going on, gay shit going on. These other countries like, man, what the hell? Assemble yourselves, come up, all you heathen that are gathered together, come round about thither, because Almighty wants to come down, O Yahweh Shemashai. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit and judge all the heathen round about. Okay, so Yahweh Shemashai is going to make them go to war. Put you in a sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full, the fast overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes and multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh Shemashai draw near in the valley of decision. So Yahweh Shemashai is doing exactly what he said he's going to do, man. So let me get this real quick. The U.S. is quietly warning the Middle East partners about the cost of stocking up Chinese-made weapons. You can go look up this article. But I wanted to get this. BRICS expansion hopefully seeks to rebalance the world order. And all these countries right here got a plan called Operation Sandman, where they're going to de-dollarize the dollar together. Okay, so I got a video right here. Let me play it, and then I'm going to end the video.
What happens when, bang, they all dump dollars at the same time? There's the term Operation Sandman that basically says there's 150 plus countries out there that have all agreed to sell dollars and treasuries at the exact same time.
If we lose our currency, that's the equivalent of losing a world war. Our currency is what makes us powerful and strong. And China's taken over. And China, I heard a couple of people say, well, the dollar, will never lose the dollar standard. Are they kidding?
What happens when, bang, they all dump dollars at the same time? Look at who's buying all the gold. Look at Turkey. They formally applied to BRICS. They bought more gold than anyone in the world for the last year and a half. Look at all of the countries that are joining. If you look at the percentage of gold in terms of reserves, and all of the countries that are joining the BRICS plus nations, They're 35 to 80% of reserves. It's insane.
In the end, the ultimate objective is to essentially wipe all of the banks out so that your bank will be the Federal Reserve. Sean, this is really a move toward a CCP-style social credit system.
They're constantly monitored by facial recognition cameras that are able to instantly put a face to a name. Now the Chinese are also ranked, given a mark out of a possible 950 points.
Now the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have announced plans to develop a new currency.
Together, we'll be ready to launch the FedNow service between May and July of 2023.
A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability.
COVID makes it accelerates the process of digitalization and automatization. It legitimizes the deployment of mass surveillance, and it makes surveillance go under your skin.
So there you have it, man. That's all I wanted to get, man. You know, we at the end. We just gonna watch the show, man. We're just gonna watch the show. So, double honors unto the elders and apostles of GMS who taught me this truth, and call High YAHAWASHI and Shabbat Shema Kakadash.